Life comes with a lot of things that are already pre-established, or at least appearing to like that. This does not imply that they are okay. That's about it. Hey everyone, what is going on? What is going on? Good morning and welcome to Men's Morning Check-In. My name is Curtis Brooks. I am your host. Guys, we have yet another great show for you. We're talking about Thought Life Thursday. So today being Thursday, we're talking about thought life. So guys, the premises of this broadcast is for men to check in, guys. All too often, you've heard me say it before, all too often men are checking out and the numbers aren't lying, guys. So let's do our part as much as possible to say hello to a fellow man, to say hi, even to a stranger, man. Yeah, we know it's tough out here. And if you are a man, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So this does not, this covers all levels or all areas of economics. It doesn't matter where you are in the scale of the economy or the economics or how much money you have. We know it's tough. So rich, poor, somewhere in between. Let's say, you know what, Curtis, I'm showing up today. My life matters, and to yet another man or another brother, just say, hey, you know what, your life matters to me. So let's make sure that we're checking in, guys. So that being said, guys, we are broadcasting to multiple platforms, starting with Facebook, Life Coaching for Men. That's Life Coaching, the number 4 for men on Facebook. Again, Life Coaching, the number 4 men on Facebook. And also on YouTube, Life Coaching for Men, spelled out on YouTube. Again, Life Coaching for Men, spelled out on YouTube as it sounds. And finally, here on LinkedIn, you can search for me by name, Curtis Brooks. You'll find me. I'm pretty active here on LinkedIn. So my question to you guys, and all those who are watching, who will watch the replay, my question to you is, who of you would run for president? If given the opportunity, who of you would run for president? I'll give you a moment to answer that. And I know that I probably wouldn't run for president, but maybe you are a presidential candidate and deciding to run for president, or maybe a local office or something like that, mayor or city council or something like that. Here's my point. Leadership is always under scrutiny, any form of leadership, even as a parent. So if you're not running for some kind of office, even as parents, we're under scrutiny by our children, we're under scrutiny by the society as a whole. But if you were given the opportunity to run for president, would you? So this leads me to my favorite book, and that is the Bible, and talks about where Jesus had stepped in the scene, a young man who is in the space of the age of uh, what 15, I think, or something, pretty young, at 33, I guess. I'm not something along those lines. I think it's 33, I believe, around 33. But nevertheless, that's not so important as Jesus claimed to say that he was the salvation, that he came to save the world. No, he wasn't running for president, but he stood by a claim that he had come to save the world. Save the world from this nonsense, a lot of the stuff that we're going through even today. But at this time, this is thousands of years prior to us even being thought about. But nevertheless, Jesus has stepped in the scene to come to save the world. And he said, I am the Savior. Not so many words, maybe not like the way I would say it, but he believed and was elected to save the world. And so now he's under scrutiny and he is fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, and he's coming out of this wilderness experience, much like we would have to probably go into a wilderness experience, deciding if we wanted to really take this job on as president or as city council or whatever the case might be. So we ourselves as people would in some cases have to, or at least feel like we're in a wilderness experience. What the heck am I doing? So here's Jesus coming out of this wilderness experience, and here comes the leader of this world, or at least the ruler of this world, Satan, to test him. We're talking about Thought Life Thursday, guys. He's tested. And the first thought that the Satan or the enemy shares with him, or this ruler of this world. Now remember, Satan is the king of the world, of this world. We may not put it in so much terms, but that's the reality. And the king of this world says to Satan, or the king of this world says to Jesus, if thou be the Son of God, and this is right when he comes out of the wilderness experience, turn this bread into stone. And Jesus says, it is written that man shall not live on bread alone, by every word that proceeded from the mouth of God. Now, what would happen if Eve had responded that way? She would perhaps have escaped the opportunity for the serpent, who is now Satan, to come in and take the kingdom from her. And now seeing themselves being evicted or removed from the property or removed from that which was given to them. So now Jesus is now tempted the second time. Satan takes him to this mountain and says, now toss yourself off from this mountain. And during this time, it is said that they're martyrs. They're martyrs for Christ. And so what they would do, they would toss themselves off the cliff and believe that that before they would dash their foot upon the stone, that God would save them. And now Satan tempts Jesus with this. Well, do the same thing. And Jesus says, no. He says, it is written, thou shalt serve God and serve him only. And that's not verbatim, but you get the gist of it. He's made up his mind that he's serving God and God only. We're still talking about thought life, because much of what Jesus is going through are the same things that we go through on a daily basis. And perhaps, again, we're not coming to save the world, but perhaps we're in a local office or CEO or parent, and life comes to challenge us, or at least the feeling that life comes to challenge us on every hand. And not by the literal hands of a person, but figuratively, the hands or the dirty work, the thoughts of someone else would try to enter this space in here without permission. And yet we're wondering where the thoughts come from. I'll let you in on something. The thoughts come from the construct that has been established here in the world. We're talking about thought life. And this is what Jesus was up against. And this is what you and I are up against. The constructs that have been established. And for the constructs, though we don't see the constructs, they're there. And your very existence poses a threat, especially if you're coming from a place of a progressive leader, wanting to change your situation. The thoughts of a progressive individual, they challenge the construct that the world has been established on. And here was Satan trying to tempt Jesus yet a third time, taking him up to yet another high place. Now the prizes are getting bigger, much like in our lives sometimes. Being in charge of something and given the option to do the right thing, we're talking about thought life. Because whether you believe in this man we know, Jesus, or not, he stood his ground. He was unmovable and unshakable concerning a blueprint that had already been established. And perhaps it's that for us as men, we don't have the blueprint. Perhaps that's what's missing, is the blueprint. Jesus had the blueprint. Most of what we know, or the blueprint that has been established, it has been established by the constructs. But Jesus knew something that was even greater than the constructs, but yet had been established even before the constructs of this world had been established through the ruler of this world. We're talking about thought life. So now Jesus is yet tempted this final time, taken to a high place. And finally he tells Satan, the ruler of this world, to get thee behind him. He says, get behind me. And he reminds him yet again that he would only serve, he has come to only serve God only. And how many of us as men can say that is our duty, is to serve God only? And it's not a matter of whether you believe in God or not. The reality of it is, for any of us, if you have a blueprint for something that works, why not use it? And most of us have heard of the definition, or at least know something of the definition of insanity. At least just conversation I've been told, or I've heard it's said that the definition of insanity was to do the same thing over and over and expect something different. We're still talking about thought life, because not anything different from Jesus. It was the very thoughts or the thinking that Satan had already conspired. He had already had in motion. He already had a plan. And his plan was to make us as men a part of that plan. And so at some point, it becomes very difficult to get out of his plan, especially once you've submitted to it. And just as Jesus was tempted the very first time, knowing that Jesus was hungry, knowing that we're hungry at times, hungry for position, hungry for opportunity, hungry for change in our lives, hungry for just to do something different, hungry for a different reality. And if you, being given the power to turn that stone into bread, would you have turned that stone into bread so that you could eat, so that you could serve your own needs? We're talking about thought life. What would you do? Knowing that you were hungry, but at the same time you were called to save the world or take the lead on a project, and you had all these other subordinates who were just as important, would you make sure you ate before they ate because you had the power? Or better yet, your children, would you eat before your children ate, knowing that they also were hungry for whatever you would present to them, hungry for change? We're talking about thought life. And I think that that's the question for many of us that is posed. What would we do in a particular situation? Would our thoughts convict us? Would our thoughts judge us? Would the world have something to say about you and I, or you as an individual wanting to run for president, or a local office, or take the lead on a project at your job, or apply for a certain job because you know and believe that you are the perfect candidate for that job? What are your thoughts saying? Perhaps that you're not qualified. I want to share something with you really, really quick here, because I'm going to finally, as we're wrapping it up here, I'm going to share this with you because it's absolutely powerful, and it's one of the things that I read often. I'm going to leave you with a last thought, if you will. And it comes from Genesis chapter 1, verse 26. This is the last thought that I want to share with you before we wrap it up here. It says, "And God said, let us make man from our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." And verse 27, this is the last scripture. "And so God created man in his own image. In the image of God, God created him, male and female created them." So this is the last thought. That what I just shared with you. And this is what Jesus had on his mind. And I'm encouraging you. That's what you should have in your mind. Whether you're running for president, local office, doesn't matter. It's already been established that you are created in the image. And so when the tests come in life, and they absolutely will, men, we know that. And when the tests come in life, there's already been a template. There's already been a king that has come before and that says, you, my son, you, my daughter, you are created in my image. So now take your rightful position, men. Take your rightful position. And know that when the storms come, you were created in the image of God. All right, guys, we're going to say goodbye in just a few moments here. But before we do that, I want to let you know about a men's conference that is taking place in the month of October. That is this year, 2023, October the 20th and the 21st. That is a Friday and Saturday. Again, October the 20th and 21st, 2023 this year. Again, Friday and Saturday. It is obviously for 2 days. And it's called Rewriting Success and Revolutionizing Wellbeing, the ultimate 2-day men's conference here in the Houston, Texas area. It is going to be a hybrid conference, so there's going to be a virtual component to the conference as well as a in-person portion of the conference. So we'd love to see you on either half, the virtual or the in-person. We'd love to see you there. We will have several speakers, myself included. We'll be speaking upon spirituality. We'll be speaking about communication, relationship, emotions, all the things that we as men are dealing with. Probably not all, because we're all dealing with something, but we're going to touch bases on the majority of the things, the challenges overall that we are as men are dealing with, guys. And we're going to tackle those things. We're going to tackle emotions and the whole gamut, guys. Can't wait to see you there. Follow this link that I'm about to give you right now. That's bit.ly, bit.ly, bit.ly/ the men's conference, guys. Would love to see you there. Check out the website, read the content there, and I'm sure it's something that you're going to enjoy. And lastly, don't forget to reserve your seat. The tickets, the cost of the tickets will go up shortly, or they're soon here. Yeah, so we want to see you there, guys. Again, make sure you reserve your seats today, and we can't wait to see you guys. For now, we'll say goodbye and have a great day. Ciao for now. Bye-bye. Why? Because obviously these
Being here with this amazing man.
life comes with a lot of things that are already pre-established, or at least appearing to lie dormant. And this does not